4-6 Ratios and percents. Ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. So for example, if you wanted to write this out, you could say the ratio of 9 to 100. Or we can write it out 9 to 100. It can also be written as 9 over 100. Those are all ways that we write ratios. When a ratio compares a number to 100, it can be written as a percent. So for example, that 9 to 100, we are comparing it to 100, and so you would be able to write this as 9%. A percent is a part of a whole ratio that compares a number to 100. So n over 100 equals n percent. So whatever the number is that's up here, as long as it's over 100, that same number comes over here and you just add the percent sign behind it. So let's look at an example. Annie answered 90 out of 100 questions correctly. So 90 out of 100. So if we wrote that as a percent, we would say 90, because the number that's in the numerator is the same as the number of the percent, and then you just add your percent sign. So it would be 90%. So she got 90% of the questions correct. Pause the video to write each ratio as a percent. 45 out of 100 cars sold. So 45 out of 100 is 45%. $3.30. Remember that you have this little symbol here. So $3.30 to $100 spent is 3.3%. And we are able to have decimals and percents together. Fractions and percents are ratios that can represent the same number. You can write a fraction as a percent by finding an equivalent fraction with the denominator of 100. So for example, we have 3 over 20. And we want to get 100 in the denominator of the fraction. So if we set it equal to something over 100, you ask yourself, what can I do to 20 to get 100? You can multiply it by 5. When we do equivalent fractions, whatever you do to the denominator, you do to the numerator. So we multiply this by 5, and we get 15. So now you can write it as a percent, and it is 15%. Pause the video to try a few examples. Write each fraction as a percent. The first example, if we set it equal to 100, we multiply the bottom by 5, so we need to multiply the top by 5, and we get 85. So this is 85%. And we set 3/5 equal to something over 100. We multiplied the bottom by 20, which means we multiply the top by 20, and we get 60%. We can also write a percent as a fraction. First, you want to do backwards what you did to go from fraction to a percent. Now you're going from percent to fraction. So if you remember, we had that little equation where it was n over 100 equals n percent. Well, it's the same thing. The percentage number is what becomes your numerator, so 25, and the denominator is 100. Now the difference here is that you always want to write them in simplest form. So you want to find the lowest form that can be written. In this case, you can divide top and bottom by 25. And so we get 1/4 for for our fraction. Pause the video to complete the lesson review. Make sure you show me this video and lesson review for verification.